Good evening. I'd like to call to order the July 10th, 2023 Beechwood Independent School District Board of Education meeting. Mrs. Reed, would you please do roll call?
Mrs. Berger? Here. Mr. Hood?
Here.
Dr. Savignano?
Here.
Mrs. Slate? Here. Ms. Stricker?
Here.
Okay. Any public comment on the list?
No, sir.
All right. Any recognition of guests?
No, sir.
Okay. We can go right into our discussion and action agenda. We have an updated policy and procedures for 2023-2024. This is a first reading on June 12th. I will take a motion to approve.
It's the first reading, do you know?
It was, the first reading was in June.
Oh,
Yes.
it's in June, okay.
And this is your final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, unless you guys have any questions, we went over these last time. There's a couple that we'll continue to keep an eye on as we move forward, but everything should be good to go for 23-24 school year.
Excellent.
Ready? Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Hood?
Yes.
Dr. Savignano?
Yes.
Mrs. Slate? Yes. Ms. Stricker?
Yes.
Okay, moving on. The second portion of the discussion and action agenda is our superintendent's evaluation. The Board of Education of Beechwood Independent School District has completed the annual evaluation of Superintendent Stacy for the 22-23 year. The past year has been a challenging one, but it was a positive one for education in our school district. All 5 board members have served on the board for at least 1 full year and have been able to observe and be part of the successes achieved in this year. Our evaluation is focused on 7 standards. I'll read each standard and make a side note. The first one is strategic leadership. Dr. Stacy received an exemplary mode. Some of the comments that were made that our joint meetings with site-based decision-making and the board have proven helpful with communication to our district. Standard 2 is instructional leadership. Dr. Stacy again achieved exemplary. Dr. Stacy remains focused on using district resources and best practices for curriculum and assessment. The cultural leadership is our next one. Again, Dr. Stacy received exemplary. Our cultural leadership standards exceeded from the superintendent to the cabinet, staff, and employees. Number 4 is our human resource leadership. Dr. Stacy received exemplary in that category. Dr. Stacy continues to lead our district by assisting personnel development to reach their best version of themselves, providing them areas for personal and career growth. Number 5, managerial leadership. Dr. Stacy again received exemplary. Dr. Stacy is extremely talented in all managerial aspects of leading the district, including budgeting, staffing, and facilities. So this is kind of a collaborative of all 5 of us. I didn't read all of them. Number 6 is collaborative leadership. There was a toss between exemplary and accomplished on this one. Positive relationships with the board and most departments could always use improvement, specifically with staff and parents, which is a big challenge for any superintendent. And finally, influential leadership. Again, exemplary. Involvement at the state level, keeping the district at the forefront when funding opportunities are available. Dr. Stacy's influential leadership has brought our school district together as one. Speaking for myself as well as the board, Dr. Stacy has demonstrated above and beyond what we have asked for him. We've achieved lots of our goals and we are in line to achieve more. So once again, I thank Dr. Stacy for his hard work, and it is a reflection on our school district as well as our community. Thank you, Dr. Stacy.
Thank you.
And I'm going to give him a round of applause. Would you like to make any comments, sir?
No, I'll just continue to say, like I've said before, my job is dependent upon those men and women sitting right out there in the audience. Your circle of influence at this position is greater than any other position in the school district. We're in charge of, we're over a lot and in charge of nothing. So each one of them brings their talents and hard work to the table and implements all the direction. Second thing I would like to say, on top of it being a pleasure to serve the board, I greatly appreciate the latitude that you all have given me over these 8 years to take risks and be out there and do some things I think it's worked out in all of our favor, but not too many boards have the courage to take some of the votes that you all have made. So other than that, it's just a privilege to serve. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on, we're going into the consent agenda. I will take a recommendation to approve and adopt the consent agenda
Ron, do we need to vote on that,
on,
the evaluation?
oh, okay. So sorry, Mrs. Reed, I jumped
No
ahead.
worries.
I'll move to approve the superintendent evaluation for Dr. Mike Stacy.
I'll second. Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Hood?
Yes.
Dr. Saviano?
Yes,
Mrs. Slate? Yes. Ms. Stricker?
Yes.
thank you, co-chairperson.
It looks Dr. Stacy, but yeah.
Now moving on.
All good.
Well, at the meeting the other day, I got this. The consent agenda, I'll take a motion for approval to adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
I'll
Second.
Okay, just to work our way through it, I know last time I said there would only be a couple more change orders. These are actually some from February and March that in their transition of site superintendents got left kind of on the sideline. Most of them are pretty small. I'm going to skip down and go through the change orders really quickly, just to kind of explain each one. The H is for the foundation. And when Empire had built this, there was supposed to be a fire gap between the existing building and this building. That did not exist. They drilled cores into the other foundation and blocked right up against it. So whenever they were removing that side, it was actually tied in, so they had to saw cut that foundation out. There's no way they could have known that. I accepted that change order. I and J have to do with the portion from the elementary into the new building by the tech bar and student help desk. They had to end up putting a steel column to connect and support that wall as they were starting. So those go on with that. Very small change orders. K through N are all basement related. Some of them are credits, some of them are charges. The ceiling, in order to get all the materials in the basement, was about 1 inch below the planned ceiling height. So we got credit for ceiling tile and grids, but we had to pay to paint that ceiling in the green room and the sewing room and the storage black. So there was quite a few change orders related to that. The two that we will accept tonight, but I am challenging, are O and P, storm drain piping and ductwork. There's a fire hatch on all ductwork that should have been caught by the engineer. So we have challenged O and P for donation back to the Horizon Fund. But I have all of them because the work has either already been done or needs to be done in the basement. At the front, Thomas More MOA is typical. We do have a few emergency certifications. None of those are problematic, and most are in a program. There's 3, 2 of which are in a program to become certified, so that's nothing for to raise any concerns. We are putting out a request for an RFP for our public relation and marketing services. And G is just your annual funding assurances to the state of Kentucky. Any specific questions?
No.
Okay.
Yep. Ready? Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Hood?
Yes.
Dr. Saviano?
Yes.
Mrs. Slate?
Yes.
Mrs. Stricker?
Yes.
Okay, moving forward, we're on our information portion. Superintendent's report.
Anything to add for the finances, Kristen?
No, I mean, this is the draft of the June before we finalize it for the audit. I don't expect too many changes, but maybe a few though.
Okay, so on the horizon, August is when Finance Corps you take your annual vote on property taxes. At the end of July is when we'll get our final number on assessments, and we're anxiously awaiting that. And September, when those two things have added, you'll get your budget for the year. So those are the three things coming up over the next 3 months. Well, next 2 months.
2.5, yeah.
Yeah. As far as my report, number one, I would like to officially introduce you guys to Alan Yankee. Alan comes to us from Oldham County and through Scott High School, and is the interim principal at Beechwood High School, and has already notified us of his interest of going after that full time. Just to clarify for the board, I did make the decision to put that in place as an interim for 2 reasons. Number one, timing. If we had posted, it would have been July the 17th before we could have finalized that position. It's going to be next to impossible to get anybody with any experience to leave the school, a few weeks before August. Number two, as you know, we do a lot of work at administrative retreat. And administrative retreat is the 11th tomorrow through Thursday. So by naming interim, we were able to move much quicker, and Ms. Yankee is able to fill that position and move into retreat and actually get a footing for the position for the year. Also, I need to introduce Jana Bromley. And Jana, on top of being an alum, also has quite a few years of service in Kenton County and comes to us way of Turkey Foot Middle School. So a good middle school, high school combo, and I'd like to officially welcome them both.
Welcome.
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 As far as, obviously July is typically one of our lighter months as far as an agenda, but just to kind of give you updates on construction. It's going to get a little hairy between now and the start of school, so go ahead and prepare you to silence your phones a few times. Tomorrow, we are having to shut off the exit of the elementary school for a crane and steel coming in for the roof ceiling trusses. The entrance will come the exit and the entrance for tomorrow, and we'll cone that off tonight around 9:30 after the band leaves at 9. We'll have a little bit of a break, and then during band's dead period, which we need for the parking lot, we will shut down the front and side parking lot. So campus will basically be closed for parking July the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th. Is that right? Is that Friday the 20th? Friday the 20th or Friday the 19th?
Yeah,
21st.
Friday the 21st.
Yeah, so, I'm sorry, the 15th is Saturday, right? So the 17th through the 21st, campus will be closed for parking. Number one, we have to tear up and repave the band lot. That is part of the bid package. Number two, we will have a lot of steel coming in and out. And really, there's too much going on to open that lot up and have the potential of an accident. It's just better off at this point in time to close it down. The only other time, that Monday, we'll go back to the schedule for tomorrow, entrance and exit. The morning, the 70-foot steel is coming in. And I just don't see any way, we've looked at it, I don't see any way without hitting that front tree to get that stuff in on the construction side. So we're going to roll it in on the elementary side, set it off on the sidewalk, and then the crane will place it over the next few days. So that's going to be problem number one. Just getting all the steel in, getting some of it set with the crane to be able to rock and roll once school starts. We don't want to be setting that big steel once kids come back on campus. Number two, problem number two is the water line that we're trying to hook up to for the new media arts and the nurses station, and that whole area wasn't where it was supposed to be. So right now, You'll notice a second really large hole outside of the cafeteria doors. We are in search of a water line. That is going to come down to, it's going to come down to the wire now to be able to hook into that and get some stuff run back to where we
Is
need
that
to
an
go.
old, like, why can't we find it?
It's not where the plan said it was. So,
And the water
again, when
district
we
didn't
tied
do that?
into some stuff, with your favorite
Bless you.
construction, bless you, your favorite construction project, the Empire project, did not document that correctly. So that's problem number 2. Problem number 3, the lighting package still isn't in. So as of today, not much has happened with the stadium entrance since graduation. We
And when do they
can't,
think that'll be in?
supposed to be in on Friday. It was not. We have not gotten a new date.
Can't the water company find the water lines?
Well, inside the building, they find it for you outside.
Oh,
But inside the building, it's your architectural plans. And we've had some troubles. You know, you've already done some change orders with electric being in the wrong spot. They'll find it. It's all right. We just hope we don't have to dig and tear up another hole. Because every time we do that, it adds a lot of dust and it adds time. The problem out here, they can't set anything else or move forward with anything else until the lighting package comes in. Everything else is tied into either the limestone, the base for the tiger, or the top of the columns. So we're kind of in hold mode.
And are we giving them a deadline on that, so maybe we can find it in an alternative spot, like what?
We had a very blunt conversation today and the construction meeting about our deadlines. Number 1, with kids coming back on campus. Number 2, home events and needing to look like something is getting completed. And number 3, the ability to have at least 7 days to clean before students come back to campus. We're pushing. I know Codell's pushing, and I know the subs are pushing. I mean, they're in as bad a shape as we are in one way. I mean, because they're just standing, needing to get the work done to be able to get paid, and they can't because of supply chain. So it'll come together, but we're going to be a little tight on the start of school. There's just no other way to say that. We have our 30-day countdown, and we'll be checking off every day. Let's pray for number 1, good weather, number 2, to find a water line, and number 3, to get a lighting package. And we'll be in good shape if those 3 things happen. Still on the bigger picture, we are back ahead of our timeline. So again, if we get what I told you all to be watching, if we're able to set the roof trusses before the start of school, that means we're in really good shape. I don't see any problem with the schedule that we have put into place and them already scheduling delivery for that week of the 17th through the 21st. I don't see any problem with that happening. That is good because if those get set, then there's not really anything that, knock on wood, that can stop us from starting to get different parts of the building dried in. So that is really good, and if we can get the 70-foot steel here, then we can set, if we're not able to set that before the start of school, we can set it on a Saturday when we can have a little bit more control of the parking lot. I don't see any problems today with the overall timeline of the project. That is still really solid. The problem is now to the start of school and being able to get things the way that we need them and expect them to be for teachers to come back in and start getting the rooms ready.
And what about the turf back here? Will they be finished before the 17th?
The turf, if they have good weather, will be finished in a week.
So by the 17th.
Yes. Yeah, I don't see any problem. I don't see any problem other than weather that could stop the turf. Everything's on site. They've got a good solid crew working through it, and it's moving along very well. If we'd had Saturday, we would have been in really good, because they had 2 crews here on Saturday. But I don't see a problem with the turf. Any other specific questions about construction?
No.
Okay, I'll continue. Again, construction meetings are always the same day as board day. So we typically have quite a bit of information coming from those. There's a lot of stressed out people in that trailer. So I don't think we have to add too much more than we did today. All right, other than that, I don't have anything to report. We have cabinet retreat tomorrow through Thursday. Really looking forward. We get a lot of work done for that. Super excited to get away and to be able to work through the final year of our strategic plan and getting ready and plan for curriculum instruction, as well as being able to manage. Remember, I've always said this year will be the hardest year of construction. There'll be more dust. There'll be more interaction during the day. So we'll stay on top of that and be ready to rock and roll, but getting closer every day to the end. That's all I've got.
I do have one question.
Yep.
The hallway going from here to the high school,
Yep.
how will that be like with construction during the school year?
It'll be petitioned off just like it is now, but we'll be able to get it cleaner. They've had to remove the stage, all the stage is gone. They've had to saw cut into.
But they'll be able to get through. is my
Yeah.
question. Okay.
Yeah, we have to be able to access that hallway. That's one of the major problems for the 7th.
Right.
We got 2 really, really large holes in it.
Out there.
Any other questions about construction?
No, sir.
All right. That's all I got.
All right. Anything on site-based meeting minutes?
Anything specific that you guys need to add? All right.
Okay. All right, moving on. I'll take a motion to approve the agenda as part of our official board minutes.
I'll make the motion to make the agenda part of the official board minutes.
I'll second.
Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Hood?
Yes.
Dr. Savignano?
Yes.
Ms. Slate?
Yes.
Ms. Stricker?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
And in conclusion, any other business? Dr. Stacy, board members, anybody have any business or news they'd like to discuss or tell us?
I do not.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Second?
I'll second.
All right. All right, Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Hood? Dr.
Yes.
Savignano?
Yes.
Mrs. Slate? Ms. Stricker?
Yes.
Thank you.